Let us begin with our first 5 minutes of breathing techniques. We'll call this the heart focus breathing technique. And so the first thing we do is we place awareness in the area of our heart and take slow, deep breaths and visualize these flowing in and out of our heart. So just take the gentle, slow, deep breaths and visualize these flowing in and out of our hearts. This will allow us to reset our body's emotional temperature. And when we begin to feel peace and calm, know that that is our normal, that is how we are always meant to feel. Not lethargic, but in an active, calm state where we can engage life. Slow, deep breaths. This may seem like a very simple process, and yet it has proven to be extremely powerful. You were born with all the tools you need to restore joy in your life and to practice joy. And just by simple breathing techniques, you are talking to your body in a sense, is you're allowing your body to relax and focus on the joy and the healing. Do this for a few more seconds. Take deep breaths in and out. Wonderful. Now continue to practice this breathing technique as you're listening. And if you have any questions, just type those in. I see a couple of people have already wished me and all of us good morning. Amy, good morning to you, and Anar, good morning to you as well. So for today's topic is compassion is strength. And in this sense, especially those of us who are in the corporate world and others too, we always view that if you want to be a leader, you have to be a tough leader, you have to make a tough decision. I had this conversation last week actually with somebody who said, how do you, what's your leadership style? And I said, well, I like to lead people by having them by inspiring them, getting their hearts and minds into a particular notion, and then having them inspire themselves that way. And the response I got was, well, what about if you have to really make a decision? And so they're separating what it is to get the heart and mind connected from making a tough decision. And so I gave him an example of a time when I had to make a tough decision, but the people involved in that decision were affected by the decision, said, I do not like this decision, but I respect where it's coming from and I can see the wisdom in it. I don't have to like it. When you can make a decision when other people actually say that I don't like the decision. I don't like what it's done for me, but I certainly respect where you're coming from. And from a business perspective, maybe that's the right decision to make, but I don't have to like it. If you can do that, then you have just made a decision with compassion, because you've removed yourself away from an emotionally charged situation to one of an objective and one of caring for your staff, because you've actually made them feel connected to the decision. And that is a lot of strength, because that will garner loyalty. Now, that is a corporate example. You can use the same thing in a personal relationship as well. Is you have to make a tough decision. Somebody wants you to do something to help them, and you know that it's not the right thing for you. Perhaps it's the right decision for them, but it's not something you want to wager into. How do you say no to them and still have them be friends with you? Is you want to have that field of compassion around you and say, I truly understand and appreciate where you're coming from. This is not right for me. I hope you can understand why, and here are the reasons why. And if they can say to you, you know what, yeah, I get why you wouldn't want to do it. I hate it that there's nobody there to help me like you, but I can understand why you're saying no. And you can still maintain that friendship. So to me, it's extremely important to distinguish the two. Compassion is not about throwing yourself in to a sacrificial situation, sacrificing your needs and wants for somebody else to help them. That is called overcare. But compassion is really strength, because you help the other people out. In a discussion or a debate, if you're angry, you drain yourself. Whereas if you feel compassionate towards somebody else, you recharge yourself. And so compassion really builds that strength around you. And we've seen in science and other evidence-based techniques that we apply heart math on, is that when you feel compassion, which is the next thing we're going to do in the next 5-minute session, when you begin to feel compassion, you actually trigger your body's hormone system, that the DHEA hormone system, which allows your system to trigger anti-aging and rejuvenating hormones. And that's what compassion is all about. So do these breathing techniques while you're engaged in conversations. If you have to deliver some news that you know that the other person will not appreciate, but you know that it is the right decision for you, take the deep breaths and experience the feeling of compassion in your heart, and then deliver the message from the heart. And you will see how strength will prevail. Are there any questions on this particular topic before we move on to the next one? You will see that when you have compassionate action, it is a lot more enduring power. People will be inspired. And when people are inspired, that is something that they basically take away from them. That enriches their lives. It changes them forever. It actually changes their DNA, because when they're feeling inspired, guess what? You have just triggered some inspiration within them, which is a regenerating emotion. When you trigger a regenerating emotion in somebody else by sharing your love and compassion, you are now having them trigger their hormones in their body that helps them repair their diseased cells, reverse their aging process, and improve their lives. So it's a win-win-win situation by shining your compassionate light. Now let us begin to experience what this feels like for ourselves. And then when we're engaged in that conversation with others, we can certainly do this technique and then continue to have the conversation in this heart-centered way. So let us begin this quick coherence technique. So we place our awareness in the area of our hearts. And we take slow, deep breaths and visualize these flowing in and out of our hearts. And now let us experience a positive feeling. We mentioned compassion. See if you can draw in compassion in your heart and practice what this feels like so that you are ready for conversations that are difficult. And you don't lose yourself into that conversation, but you hold that field of compassion around you so that you can enrich somebody else's life, including yours. Begin to experience this feeling of compassion, appreciation, peace. And just draw that into your heart. Take slow, deep breaths. Put a gentle smile on your face. That'll help that going. And just feel the compassion and the appreciation in your heart. Slow, deep breaths. Wonderful. That has been 15 minutes of heart math techniques. And thank you for participating. For those of you who have to leave, please feel free to do so. And if there's any questions, I'm here for another 15 minutes to answer anything about anything. It doesn't have to be today's topic. We have a comment from Imi and a comment from Natalie. Natalie, a belated hello. Thank you for joining us, Natalie, from Germany. Thank you. We're so honored to have you here. I hope your monthly Rose Touch is going well, and I look forward to connecting that way every month with you. Imi has a statement here. Given my recent circumstances, I must say choosing compassion over fear has been rather empowering and humbling at the same time. Isn't that amazing? Because compassion gives you strength. Not only gives you strength, but gives strength around to others who are affected by it. The key here is to recognize the difference between compassion and overcare, and it's a fine line. We're creatures. We've been taught to sacrifice for others. If you've got one piece of apple pie left on your plate, it's best to give it to somebody else. That's our at the very inner core. I'd rather you enjoy it than me we don't really think about, how about if we cut that that piece in half, and you take half and I take half. And to me, that's compassion, and that's a win-win situation. And so thank you for sharing that with me, with us, Amy. Compassion is quite empowering, because it's strength. Compassion is strength. Fear is actually weakness. People snap at you or get out of or snap at others, not out of fear, not when they are in control, but really when they're out of control. Fear is weakness. It is actually, fear is what begets anger and other emotions that do not serve us. It's because we're afraid of the alternate outcome, and so we try and control the situation. Whereas compassion says, I'm ready to handle anything. It doesn't matter what comes. I'm just going to not shift from within, and I'm going to maintain that strength, and that gives strength to others. Thank you for sharing that, Amy. Are there any other questions that you may have? Natalie, that is so true. It is the goal for the empath, as he is able to provide a positive feeling without losing his own integrity. Yes. Interesting goal for the empath. You're right, Natalie. Empaths especially need to really practice compassion versus overcare, because empaths are built to actually sense everyone else's energy levels, and they're usually drawn to an empath when they feel down, because an empath will be able to sense that and respond to that. So that is very true. Stand in your own truth, shine your compassion, and maintain that. Now, the good news is, you don't really have to take apart what compassion is or what overcare is. When you do these breathing techniques, it automatically embodies you that way. So you really don't have to think about it, and thinking is not the right action, because we want to connect our hearts to our mind. And sometimes when we think about it, we disconnect our heart and rationalize things. So what we want to do is, if we stay present by connecting our hearts and minds, just like we did in the heart focused breathing and the quick coherence technique, we will build that field of compassion, and we won't have to think about it. We will just respond from a heart-centered way, and that will become automatically a compassionate action. Thank you, Natalie. Another comment you have is, we have to trust in the strength of the other as well. Yes, you do. They teach you this as a healer, is that whenever you help others, always view them from as individuals that are extremely healthy. So that they themselves begin to believe that. And yes, you have to view them from a point of strength. If you if they are feeling weak, or they sense that if they are feeling weak, and you participate in that and letting them know, yeah, you're hurt and you will not recover from this, it'll take you a while, they begin to believe that, and it's a self-serving prophecy. And so you must shine your heart of compassion and say, you know what? Yes, you are down, but you are the one who is going to pick yourself up. How can I help you? And that gives a lot of strength to that person, and they will recover very quickly. Amy, there you go. There was a light bulb moment that Amy shared. Good point, Natalie. So yes, always view others as strength, simply because we're all divine beings, and God created us, Creator built us. And if the Creator and the universe is perfect, how could the universe have created something so imperfect as weakness? And so every one of us is perfectly strong. And if we view each other as that, then that is an honoring of the Creator and the universe. Lou and Will, that's empowering to them. Absolutely, absolutely. So this week's lesson for all of you is to practice that compassion. And anytime you feel that somebody is, seeing themselves as weak, your job is to prop them up by letting them know how strong they are, and how you trust them to step out of it very quickly, and you are there to support them. And you're not attached to the outcome. If they decide they want to still wallow in pity, you will just step back, because you're not forcing any compassion on them. There's no such thing as forcing compassion on people. It is just holding space. And so when they are ready, they will reach out. But you have to give them space on their own time to step up. And this is exactly goes back to my conversation, is that when I talked about my leadership style, and indeed that is a leadership style that works well and it's enduring, is where you actually tell people this is the decision. When you are ready to step out of the victim mode and into the strength mode, we can discuss this a lot more, but I know you can snap out of it. I'm going to give you time to snap out of it, so I'm just going to stay here and hold space until you do. And that is really how we all need to lead. Leadership is not a position in an organization or in a voluntary capacity or in anywhere. Leadership is not a position. Leadership is a way of being, and I see all of you in that way. So practice this amazing compassion and see and help others grow, because it'll give you strength. Lou and Will, excellent exercise for me, who tends to be codependent and take on too much of what can help others to grow. Absolutely. Now, whether that's Lou or Will speaking, both of you, I think probably need to practice, and everybody on this call, including myself, we get drawn in a lot. But yes, please take this as something that you want to practice this week, and I would love to hear about how it went next week, right? Are there any other comments for this particular Lou and Will? I will. Oh, wonderful. This is Lou. Thank you so much, Lou. You say you tend to be codependent, and that codependency is based on fear. And we talked about that. There are only two emotions that we really have to deal with. Everything else is a derivative of these emotions, and that's love and fear, or compassion and fear, if you want to say that. And the reason we tend to be codependent on others is because we are not fully confident in our own ability to stand up on our own. And your body is listening. Your body is listening. If you say, I need somebody else's help to do something, then you are telling your body, yield to somebody else. Allow that somebody else to actually have the power to heal you. And you're telling the body that you cannot heal yourself. And really what I'd like you to do, Lou, in a very small, measured way, don't just go all out in one way or another, but take a small aspect of when you recognize that you are actually becoming codependent on a particular small aspect, only a small aspect, and see if you can take back that power and say, body, talk to your body. You and I can do this. Let us do this without somebody else's help. And they're there. They are going to be there. And if I need them, I will reach out. But let me try a little bit on my own. You know, when we look at children, they're great. They provide us great instruction. Children, when they're growing up and they're learning to walk, they will try and get up and they'll fall down. But they're not going to sit there for too long. They're not going to say, oh, well, I can't do it, I'm giving up. They keep going. They'll scrape their knees, but they will stand up, and it's their natural instincts. You know what? That's what we're made. That's the stuff we're made of. The child that wants to climb on that little contraption in the playground, fearless child, doesn't care about falling down because there's no fear in that child's mind. It just keeps going and going and going. That's the stuff every one of us is made from, and that's the stuff I want you this week to actually bring forth in you and allow yourself to be in all your glory, the strength that you are. And yes, you will need help sometimes, but not all the time. So let's try that. Wonderful. Natalie, thank you, dear Shamir, and thank you to all. Wonderful. Amy, book recommendation, The Awakened Family. Wow, excellent, excellent, excellent. I think I missed one more comment there. Lou and Will, I let others lean on me too much, especially my son. I can compassionately detach and let him learn and grow. Thanks for a great insight. Yes, because that's the only way you're going to help your son, Lou. It's the only way. The son, our bodies are very efficient. This is pure science. And the body says, you know what? If I don't have to use my legs, if I just sit all the time, that means I can divert all of my energy away from my legs and into the other parts where I use it the most. And pretty soon your legs fall asleep, or your legs become weak, because your body is very efficient. It says, well, I'm going to shut down areas that are not in use. And that's how our psychology works, how our mind works. If your son feels that you're always there to help him with everything, his body will automatically begin to accommodate that, because then the body is more efficient that way because something else is doing the work. So you're going to have to train his body to get back into that mindset where he can stand up for himself. So wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for the book recommendation, Imi. Thank you, wonderful. And this, if there are no more questions, we'll bring this to a close, but I'm just going to scroll up and see if there's any other questions. Wonderful. Wonderful. Yes, all good comments. You're welcome, Anar. Lou and Will, you're welcome. Imi, you're most welcome. Thank you so very much for joining us today. Again, if there are any questions, please do send me an email, and I look forward to another installment next Monday. Much appreciated. Thank you so much. You take